Welcome to Jack's Crypto. Everybody, today I am here to make this video about why you should own Bitcoin. I've had that question come up a lot. Why should I buy Bitcoin? Why do I need to own it? I already have stocks, I have real estate, I have gold. What would I do with this Bitcoin and why is it important for me to have it? And I thought it would be good for me to make a video to dive into that a little bit and show you Bitcoin compared to other asset classes and where it's going to be in the future compared to those asset classes. So we'll go ahead and get started. And a few things to show on here. This is just the price right now. I want to key in on a couple of things. One is the market cap that we're at right now, 2 trillion. Okay, and then kind of like the supply we have right now, 19.81 million Bitcoin that have been mined. Max supply is 21 million, which I've talked about a little bit in other videos, but I wanted to key in on these couple of items here because we're going to be discussing that later. So Bitcoin has had its ups and downs recently. You may have seen some, went up to 108, it went back down to 93 in the last 24 hours, went to 93 in the last 24 hours, and now it's already back up to 93. Sorry, it went to 93 and now it's 92, and it's already back up to over 100,000, and those are big swings, and it can be very difficult to hold on to your coins when you're going through swings like this. But all I'm going to say about that is zoom out, because just a year ago Bitcoin was at $43,000 and today it's at 101. So if you would have bought a year ago, you would have over doubled your money. It's really hard to get that anywhere else in the market. So if you watch my prior videos, you'll see where I talk about the market cycles. So I'm not going to cover that again, but just keep that in mind. So to get into this, a few of the main key points about Bitcoin is that there is no real foundation or insiders or investors or anything like that controls Bitcoin. It is controlled by the people and the people that own it and those networks that are connecting all those people together that own Bitcoin. There is no marketing team, like it says. There is no executives. No one is controlling it. And that's why this is such a great opportunity for us regular folks to get into something like this, because it wasn't created by the big banking systems. It wasn't created by governments or anything like that, where they already had a big stake in it before we got it. We're in before they are, and they're trying to get in now. So we have to get in even further before they take it all from us. And I'm going to show you that. So even today, you'll see it dropped from over 100 to 93. And during those times, just like every other time, people are saying Bitcoin is dead. It's going to zero. It's dead. There's nothing we can do. Well, they've been saying that since 2013. You can even see here, Bloomberg article, Bitcoin is a high-tech dinosaur, soon to be extinct. This is in 2013 when it was around $700. If you'd have bought it then, you'd have turned like one Bitcoin, you'd have turned $700 into 100 grand. So don't listen to these opinion pieces. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't really understand what it is and how we can use it. And it goes against every financial system that they have, which is why they're so scared of it. If you look at Bitcoin's market cap, which we had said before. Now this might be slightly off, but 1.2 trillion for Bitcoin, and then the rest of all the other coins, Ethereum, Solana, all of them, all equal about 1 trillion in total. So the total cap of all crypto is a little over, the 2.2 trillion or so. The Bitcoin, though, takes up the majority of that, over half, and it is the daddy, and it moves everything else in its wake. Everything follows it. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. Bitcoin moves everything when it comes to crypto. Now, one of the key important things to notice about Bitcoin compared to like the US dollar, for example, is that Bitcoin has a finite amount. There's 21 million coins. There's no more that can be mined after that. There's no more that can be created. And the mining happens on a steady schedule. So unlike the US dollar, which continues to print and print more money, it's, I mean, like you're seeing like 21.7 trillion now. Every time they print more, your dollar gets weaker and weaker. And just like if you have a stock, and let's say you have one stock and it's worth $1,000, it goes up to $1,000, and the stock, the company thinks, well, this stock is too expensive now. Like, not really many people can buy it. We want to make it more accessible to everyone. So let's do a stock split. I mean, there's other reasons to do a stock split, but let's just go with that right now. So they want to do a stock split. So now they split the one stock into 4. So now each stock is worth $250. Not $1,000 anymore because there's 4. But someone coming in now is buying one stock. They're getting it for $250. You got 4 stocks and you're hoping that they still add up to $1,000. But you see it gets diluted. And that's the same way that the money supply is. That cannot happen to Bitcoin. It's not possible for it to happen. It's anti-inflation. Bitcoin is anti-inflation. So if you look at the dollar's worth, over the last few years, and it just continues to get worth less and less. The purchasing power today of $1 would be over $25, back in 1913. Right, so it's just continuing to go down, get less and less on what you can buy, with each year that passes, because they're diluting it, right? Because of rising inflation and the money supply, which keeps being printed. Another way to look at it is here. I mean, the dollar has lost 96.3% of its value since 1913. Right? This is looking at the reverse way. $1 down to 3.67 cents. So what that tells you is, let's say, your great grandpa or whatever, whoever it was, saved up $100,000 from 1913, and they want to pass it down to you, and you have $100,000, but it has been diluted so much that your purchasing power, you can only buy 3 cents on the dollar of what he could buy then in 1913. This is just in 2021. This graph here, it's gotten even worse. This is why these currencies don't work, and they're not the future. They cannot work because this continues to happen. So you need some type of currency that has a lock on the inflation, where this cannot happen, where it's not devalued. Because you're comparing $1 to $1 from 1913, and it just gets weaker and weaker. So if we look at the inflation rate in the U.S. since 1970, I mean, we can see that it has highs of up to 14%, down to a little dip here below 0. But overall, it's been hovering around that 3-4% range, right? If you average this out, so that means every year 3 or 4% of your money is gone. Every dollar, you now have 97 cents if you kept it in savings every year. It's not sustainable. The worst thing you can do is keep it in savings, right? You need to buy some type of asset with it, and what you want to buy is an asset that's going to increase in value instead of decrease. Now, looking at over time, the amount of Bitcoin that you could have got for $1,000. So 2015, you would have gotten a little over 1 Bitcoin for $1,000. But as the years go on, the amount, the dollar, decreases versus Bitcoin. So now you've gotten down to where $1,000 will only get you 0.01 of a Bitcoin. This is incredible, right? Like this. There's never been an asset that has made the US dollar minimize so much compared to it. You're looking at it right here. Since 2011, that we can see all the asset class and what they are returning each year. And it's kind of easy to see, you got Bitcoin at the top, you got gold, QQQ, all kinds of other stuff going down here, right? Bonds, and you can see there what they've been returning, annualized and everything. And you can see that Bitcoin is dominating every single asset class that there is. Every single one. And not even by a little bit, by a huge margin. Now, there is the down years because we're on these 4-year cycles. You see, 14, 18, 22. You'll have another one in 26. But but everyone is having those same cycles too. And they are just dominating. So, I mean, just looking at this, you can see that the highest return every year, except for a couple, is Bitcoin. So why would you not want to be invested in this when this is just going to continue? Why be in QQQ when you're getting 18% and I'm getting 148 in Bitcoin? Same way to look at it, just in a different way is, if you would have got in 10 years ago into this, you'd be at 437,000%. S&P 500 to be up 277%. And then you can see a year ago, even up to a year ago, 288% compared to, which was what I talked about earlier about the $40,000 to over 100. And then, only 32% for the S&P 500. And you would have lost money buying gold. So looking at these asset classes, we can see, what their market cap is. And so $18 trillion for gold, Apple's 3.4, Microsoft, you can see it going down, silver, and then Bitcoin is down here at 1.2 trillion. So there's, a long ways for it to go. And this is from September of 2024. There's a long ways for it to go to continue to go up. If it wants to go into these asset classes. Real estate has 330 trillion. The global debt, fiat, which is currency, stocks, art, gold, right? Bitcoin. So there is still a long ways to go because people are looking at Bitcoin now as a new class to invest in. So this is going to continue to rise into these other classes. And then as of how fast it's rising. Well, we look at this like how many years it took for an asset to reach 1 trillion market cap. So, I mean, obviously some of these started a long time ago. Microsoft, 44 years it took. Google, 21 years. Amazon, 24 years, right? It took Bitcoin 12 years to get to 1 trillion, which is faster than all of these classes. Well, all of these, these things right here, all these stocks. And then another comparison, which I know we've done a couple already, but Bitcoin versus the S&P 500 price index, we can see that it's, in the bear markets, bear cycles, the S&P is winning here and here, but in the bull cycles, Bitcoin dominates. And then also, when we're looking at Apple, Bitcoin is approaching Apple's market cap as time goes on, and we can kind of see since 2016 how that's been touching it in the last bull run, which is in 2021, and then how it's approaching again in 2024, 25, and it's going to surpass it this time. It's going to be over it. So if you would have invested $1,000 into into different stocks, like what would you have gotten out of those, right? So it's kind of interesting to look at that and what you would get. So if we looked at, for example, if you put an S&P 500 $1,000 in 2010, what would you get out of it? Well, you would have made about $4,154. So about a 4x on your money, right? If you would have did the same thing in Apple, $1,000, you'd have about $18,400 today. So that, I mean, that's really good. That's a, really good return. If you would have put $1,000 into Amazon, you'd have about $10,500 today. 10 years ago. Now, if you would have put $1,000 into Nvidia 10 years ago, this one is a really good return. You would have had $321,000 today. That crushes everything else that we've looked at, right? Except for Bitcoin, right? And if you even look at Bitcoin, and let's look at if you would have put $1 into Bitcoin in 2011, you'd have $100,000 today. Another way to look at that, if you would have spent $1,000 into Bitcoin in 2013, you'd have $7.5 million today. So even though these stocks are crushing it and Nvidia is doing really well, you would have killed it buying Bitcoin. You would have been completely retired. $1 invested into gold in 2009 would be worth $2.69 today. There you go, right here. $1 in 2009 would have been 90 million. Like it's not even a comparison. Like if you would have known that back then, where you would have put your money. So if we're talking about this today and it still has a long ways to go, where are you going to put your money? You have to put it in Bitcoin. Comparing Bitcoin versus the median home prices in the US. In 2012, and you can see how the home prices are going up, right? 2012, it would have took 43,000 Bitcoin to buy a house. You go up to 2014, and this is in June of each year, so Bitcoin wasn't 100 grand at the time. But it would have took 5.8 Bitcoin to buy the house, even though it's almost twice as much. So you can see, like, the price of homes, it's going to go, I don't know, this is a little aggressive, but it's going to go to zero compared to Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoin that you have is going to give you an astronomical return in the next 10 or so years. It is nowhere near done. So if you took some of these asset classes that I kind of mentioned before, like gold and stocks and real estate and etc., and you took some of that, and let's say the younger generation, they're like, hey, I'm not really wanting to get in stocks or gold or real estate, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. So of that, 18 trillion in gold, let's say 6 of it goes to Bitcoin, etc. Like the real estate, it was like 330 trillion, 75 goes to Bitcoin. Let's just say these younger folks or other folks want to start buying Bitcoin instead of these assets. And all this gets added in, and we add about $478 trillion just chipping away at these into Bitcoin, this new asset class that everybody wants to get into. So what is that going to look like for price? All right, so I actually put this together a few days ago, so it's not incredibly of today's price, but the point still stands here. So if you would have bought it at 105, you would have bought 0.1 Bitcoin for 10 grand, right? Now all the market caps are worth about $900 trillion, and we have 19.74 million Bitcoin that are mined, right? We saw that on the first screen that we looked at. So currently, how you get it is, you take the market cap and you divide it by the number of Bitcoin that's left. You could do this for stocks too, whatever it is, number of shares, and you get the price of what it's going to be. So if Bitcoin increases to 5 trillion, market cap, then that would put us at a $253,000 Bitcoin. So your $10,000 investment would now be worth 25K. If it goes to 10 trillion, which is very likely, you get $500,000 Bitcoin, and your 0.1, your 10,000 that you invested is worth 50,000, a 5x. If it goes up to where gold is, the market cap, let's say it surpasses gold, then your Bitcoin price is going to be 967,000, and your 10 grand would turn into $96,000. And then we continue from there, 30 trillion, 1.5 million. And then if it gets even to the market cap of the stock market, 55.2 trillion of the US stock market, let's say, it collects all this excess from the other asset classes and it goes into there, then you would have a $2.6 million Bitcoin, and your $10,000 investment today would be worth $265,000. 10,000 to 265,000. So on the other screen, I showed how maybe it could sap off from the other asset classes and got to that 479, approximately 479 trillion market cap. That puts Bitcoin's price at approximately $24 million a coin. And your $10,000 investment today would be worth $2.4 million. Does it sound too good to be true? It does sound too good to be true, right? It sounds insane. But I've showed you guys the graphs before. I showed you the cycles. And if you haven't seen that, go back and look at my other videos. It's going to get there. All you have to do is buy, hold, maybe sell during the cycles and rebuy. But you have to get in on this. This is our gift. This is a gift to us in the working class on how to break away from this, everything that we're in. It's handed right to us. So who owns the most Bitcoin? Well, see, that's kind of the thing, right? There's only 19 million right now that are available. But there's a lot tied up with different people. Satoshi is the creator of Bitcoin, this unknown figure. And this person has a wallet that has 1.1 million Bitcoin in it. It's been untouched, it hasn't moved. After that, it's BlackRock, MicroStrategy, Fidelity, the government. I mean, it just starts going down from there. Other governments, El Salvador down here, Tesla, and people are constantly moving up and down this list here of what's available, what's been bought. So when they buy, they're not selling. They're holding this. They're going to hold it forever because they know what it is and they know what they can do with it, which is just continue to increase value. Now, if we look at a graph like this, and this is your hold waves chart, right? Or your HODL waves chart. Hold on for dear life is what that means. The purple here is the most important part because the purple, if you see over here, means holding longer than 10 years, right? Holding longer than 7 years is the blue. Holding longer than, than 5 to 7, right? That is getting bigger and bigger every year. So all the people that are buying are holding longer and longer and longer, right? And they're going to continue to do that. They're not going to sell. So every time you sell, somebody's going to gobble it up. Now, and this is an incredibly important graph. I know it's got like a silly thing on it. I borrowed it from CoinGlass here. But what this shows is the Bitcoin balance on the exchanges, right? So what's left over to purchase right now that hasn't been bought by all these people and governments and everything like that. So there's only, as you can see, just over the last year, we have dropped about 600,000 Bitcoin out. And it continues to go. So the yellow line is the price as it goes up. The green is the balance of Bitcoin that's available. It's going down. So we're only about 2.15 million Bitcoin left. At this rate of decrease, and then with the increase of governments purchasing, companies purchasing, millionaires wanting to get in, all these different people wanting to buy, it's estimated that the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges that is left, that there's a good amount to buy there, it will be gone by around the end of 2027. So what do you think is going to happen when you have an asset class that everybody wants to buy and there's none available to buy on the market? What's going to happen to the price? That is what all the smart people know. That is what all the governments know. That's what these companies know. And that's why they're buying it now. Because even though it's $100,000, it is cheap compared to where it will be in 10 years. So, doing a little bit of math on how much Bitcoin is available for everybody. Let's just say that we have the 21 million total Bitcoin available. And there's 8 billion people. So that would only give about 0.0026 Bitcoin per person. Just evened out fair, right? Now, of those people, there's only about 4.9 billion adults that could potentially buy it. And so that would give everybody about 0.0042 Bitcoin. Now, not everybody can buy Bitcoin. Not everybody has access to that. There's a lot of different people in different countries and different stages of development. So only about 25% of the world's population actually trades stocks. So if I took of the adults only and I said 25% of that, that's 1.2 billion people. And if only they decided that they wanted to buy, then that would give each person 0.0168 Bitcoin. So, however, there is only about 2.15 million Bitcoin on the exchanges to purchase. Now, some of the people that are in the 1.2 billion have already bought, right? But let's say all of them wanted some more. They all wanted 1.2 billion people wanted more, and there's only 2.15 million left. So that would give everybody 0.00168 Bitcoin. So look, if you have any Bitcoin right now, you're ahead of the majority of the world. And if you have 0.10 Bitcoin or more, you are in the top 1%, maybe even less than that. And as we go forward in the future, the more Bitcoin that you have, whether it's 0.1, whether it's a whole one, whatever you have, it's going to be so astronomical on the price that you will not be able to buy even a tenth of that 10 years from now, what you can buy it for today. Just like I showed you the one graph where $1,000 would get you in Bitcoin, where you could get you 1 Bitcoin 10 years ago or so, and then now you can only get 0.01 of a Bitcoin. You're going to get 0.00001 of a Bitcoin if you continue to wait. And just real briefly, these are the market cycles. The accumulation, growth, bubble, crash, which is our seasons, which I've kind of discussed before. We are in the green right now. We are in the growth season, and then we are going into the bubble. The bubble is where the majority of the top is made. The green, you get some nice growth, but we still got a whole bubble phase to go through, which is the fall, is what I call it. That we're going to have a lot of growth here, right? And this is just kind of a breakdown on what there's some forecast of what they think Bitcoin's price is going to be in 2045. So what they think is the bear, which is the minimum amount, will be 3 million per coin. The base, they believe, is going to be 13 million per coin. And during the bull, which is the high, it could be up to 49 million per coin with these market caps here, kind of like what we discussed before. And then Bitcoin right now, you can see, is this tiny little block here of all the asset classes. It's going to become a much larger block, and it's going to squeeze some of these out, right, to become bigger. Now, just to go into this briefly on price, look, the stock to flow, which is this line here, Bitcoin kind of goes along with this line in this prediction, and it's been true for the last couple of cycles. So based on that, we can kind of see where we believe it's going to be, and by in 2025, we're over that 100, right? And we're going to get into this maybe up to 300,000 by the end of this. But we'll see how this cycle goes. But at a minimum, we're going to be 200 or something like that. But I kind of want to show you is because you can see it's kind of following this prediction, and it's been pretty close. So just another way to look at it. Compared to the Christmases of each bull run cycle, 2012 took off, right? 2016 took off the next year. 2020 we took off. We had the double peak because of COVID here. This is 2024. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? So if you're thinking it's 100,000, it's going to be it's too expensive. Well, look how much legs. Look at the legs it still has. You still have a chance to double your money to get a 200% return. You're going to get that 13% from the stock market or whatever. You get 200%. Like, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, even buying now. Now, if you were to ask me, like in July, if you should buy, I'll be like, well, maybe you should wait until the next winter cycle, because there's not much left of it. You ask me now, like, yeah, definitely buy. And then when I do the math, and another way to look at it, like, how soon do we think it's going to get to 1 million? Well, if I just do simple, like 77% rate of return, which isn't even as high as what the charts were showing that I showed you before, if you recall, like compared to all the other assets, but I just did a conservative 77% annual. So my target is 1 million. I started 100 grand today, like one Bitcoin. It's going to get there in 4 years. 4 years. If you get a 77% return, but it's probably not going to be the case, right? So let's go down to 50% return because we're losing some. 5.6 years. So it's 2025 now. So where is that telling us? Right at around 2032, right? I thought it was going to hit 1 million 2033. Has been my prediction, and that's getting pretty close to that. So that's a 10x from where we are now. You buy $10,000 worth today, you're going to have $100,000 in less than 10 years. You buy $1,000, you'll have $10,000 in less than 10 years. So how could you not invest? The cycle is nowhere near to the end. If you've seen my video before, you know that I talk a lot about the Pi cycle top indicator. It's, every time it touches, it signals the end, right? So we're nowhere close to touching, as you can see. So we are good. And, just a little meme here, like 3,000 folks don't want to buy, 19,000 folks don't want to buy, 60,000 they still don't want to buy, and then it gets to 100 grand and, oh, it's too expensive, you got lucky, how did you know about this? Like, we've been talking about it for years and years and years to get ready, and we're going to continue to talk about it for years and years to come, because we want you guys to make as much money as you can. We want you to retire your family, right? So it's true. Like, Bitcoin is just going to continue to rise, and every other asset class is going to zero. Everything. It's going to zero compared to Bitcoin. It won't reach absolute zero, but it'll get close. So, you can play these cycles and, buy and sell when you need to, right? If you're looking at this chart, and I'll just refresh it, and we can see these cycles, right, on this chart. So we're looking at this, and we know that we're going into a new peak here in the next few months. So then that means that, based on, and I made a couple of videos about when to sell and when to buy, which I recommend you guys watching that. But, you're trying to set yourself up for the next cycles. So if it gets to 180,000 this time, then, you can think about selling a portion of it, whatever you might have invested, let's say you have one Bitcoin, right? Let's just say you have one. And it gets to 180K, and you're like, okay, I'm going to sell some of my Bitcoin, or I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to take that 180K, and then I'm going to take 40K of that, and I'm going to change my lifestyle a little bit. I'm going to pay off some debts, maybe I'll take a trip, maybe buy a Rolex, whatever it is that you want. And then you take that other 140K and you hold it until around October, November of 2026, when Bitcoin is back down to 60, 70K, and then you buy 2 Bitcoin with that. Now you've taken one and you turned it into 2. And then you do the same thing in 2028, 29. And then now by the time you hit the 2032 halving, which is and then the 2033 bull run, you're going to have 5, 6 Bitcoin collected up, 4, whatever it might be, right? And it's going to be hitting $1 million. So let's say you started now, and you end up with 3 Bitcoin and you have 3 million. What are you going to do at that point? Well, at that point, I'm assuming that there may be some mechanism with banks or something to where I could get some type of return off of my Bitcoin, kind of like I can do with stocks. And if there is, then that's probably what I'll do. If I can get a 5% return off of my Bitcoin, then that means for every $1 million that you have, for example, then you get $50,000 a year, right? So if you have 2 million, you get 100 grand, right? So if that mechanism's in place, that's probably what I would do. And just then now I have, X amount of money coming in that I'm not even working for anymore. I'm just getting it. Now, if that mechanism, if that's not in place at that time, then I would sell it to buy stocks that pay 5 to 8%, like dividends, for example, or something per year, which would give me that $100,000 to $120,000 a year without lifting a finger, right? And let me tell you, if you have everything paid off, let's say you get up to the 3 Bitcoin and you end up with 3 million. If you have everything paid off, you take $1 million of that, whatever you need, the one coin, you pay everything, house, cars, everything is paid. You have no debt. And then you invest what's left over. You're getting that 100, 120, 140K or whatever it is a year. You can do a whole lot with that. You could essentially just live the rest of your life, right? So if you can invest what you need to now and put everything you have into it and play these cycles, watch the videos that I'm putting out, play these cycles, you will end up in a place that you never even imagined you would be. And you won't have to work again. Now, with everything, there's a risk. It will go down. We saw it the last couple of days. And it will go back up. So you hold, you buy, and you sell smartly. And you will make it out of this with more profit that you can ever imagine. And that's what I want to see everybody do. That's what everybody that's watching this, all of my friends, my family, anyone, please, I'm telling you guys, this is happening, and it is a gift that has been given to us by Satoshi for us to get out of all of the banking, to get out of everything that's been holding us back. And it is happening whether we are in it or not. And it's time to get in it before all those people buy up everything that's available. You want to be on the front of that wave, not on the back of it. Fighting for 0.000001 of a Bitcoin. So, thank you for watching this video. I know it was really long, but I had a lot I wanted to cover, and I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thank you. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of crypto. Thanks for watching, and now you know thanks to Jaxx Crypto.